Once upon a time, in the not-too-distant past, Marco designed a Buck Rex model. But the poor little guy was lonely, so Marco designed the Doe. I've already painted both of them, and Marco just showed you how to paint the Doe in his own video, so I think I'll do something slightly different with it today. As much as I like the standard Buck and Doe paint jobs, I also think you can't go wrong with the Kenner classics. So today, we're going to do the Red Rex. As with everything I paint, we're going to start with the base coat. I decided to go with khaki for this part because it's a nice natural light color, and it's going to be super easy to paint over. I also decided to forego the airbrush and just do this part by hand today. Well, before the exciting nature of this step puts me to sleep, I think I'm going to go, and then I'll meet you guys in the next step. Oh, we made it to the next step. Okay, yeah, we're doing a wash on the belly. So the Red Rex has a green belly. So I've mixed this paint up to the color and consistency of a baby's diaper contents after trying spinach for the first time. And even though it's just paint, I still don't want to get any on my hands. It's funny, as a kid, I was not fond of the green belly on the Red Rex, but as an adult, I really like that color combination. Nostalgia is a powerful drug. Okay, I'm just giving the T-Rex some pink lip gloss right now so that she can be pretty. And now, as if I didn't learn my lesson with that first wash, we're doing another wash over the rest of the dino. This one is pavement color, and it is going to get into all those little cracks and crevices, which is kind of the point. But man, this is messy business. You guys have fun watching me make a mess, and I'll meet you guys up ahead in the next step. Well, now that the model looks like it's been through 50 miles of bad road, we're going to start adding some red. This red is actually a combination of Tuscan red and khaki, and we're just going to spit that out through the airbrush for now. This layer of red isn't completely covering up the wash. In fact, it's barely covering it up. But the goal isn't to completely cover it up. We want to still be able to see some of the dark colors inside all those folds and creases. But admittedly, even after this step, it does still kind of look like crap. But bear with me, it's all part of the plan. You may have also noticed that I completely neglected to put any wash on the head. While I am pretty forgetful, I actually didn't forget to do that. I just prefer to use a different method on the head, so she's just going to look weird for a while. Now we're going to move on and do some of the patterns on the Red Rex. We're going to try to mimic the Kenner patterns as much as possible, and it's not just a simple stripe job. It's actually kind of a wonky combination of stripes, dots, and splotches. But it does all come together in the end. Once I've applied the T-Rex's goth makeup, we're going to go through and mark out all of those patterns in black number 1. And again, we're following the patterns on the Kenner-Rex as much as possible here, although there may be a little bit of creative license here and there. But that's only to minimize any potential derpiness. And as usual, we paint both sides of our dinosaur. Now we're going to work on the face a bit. Red Rex has some snout stripes similar to the other T-Rexes from the Jurassic franchise, but they're not completely the same. 2 stripes towards the rear of the snout are actually conjoined on top and are part of the same marking, while the stripe in the front is actually free-floating. There are also some stripes along the lip line that are pointing upwards, and those should match up pretty well with the stripes on the snout that are coming down from the top. Now that all of the markings are in place, I'm going to spray some more red over the top of it. And this second coat of red is kind of like another layer of skin. It's not going to cover up all of that wash we did earlier, and it's also not going to cover up all of these markings. In fact, it's barely going to obscure them at all. But it is going to help our Red Rex be, well, more red. Speaking of those washes we did earlier, we're going to go through and do some dry brushing on that wash we did on the belly, and we are going to use a lighter and drier green for that, and it is really going to bring out those belly scales. Well, as fun and necessary as that dry brushing was, I'm actually going to cheat a little bit here and use my airbrush to help tie in that green belly to the rest of the colors on this Rex. A more patient and more talented painter could probably just do this through dry brushing. But hey, work smarter, not harder. One of those creative liberties that I've taken with this paint job is I'm putting a little bit of this green between the toes. And some other places too. You know, it's been a while since I did anything with a toothpick on this dinosaur, so let's just go in and add a few more details. Okay, now that I'm done screwing around with a toothpick for now, we'll go ahead and paint those foot scoots jet black. They aren't going to stay a consistent jet black though. This is just going to be the base layer that we're going to do some dry brushing on later, and I think it's going to look pretty cool. And if there's one thing that I've learned from Quentin Tarantino movies, it's that feet are very important, apparently. I don't know. Personally, I could have done without 5 minutes of Uma Thurman wiggling her big toe. But back to the dinosaur. We're also painting the scoots on the dew claw. Okay, I think it's about time for me to do that thing where I airbrush over the existing patterns. I think we've done a pretty good job of replicating the patterns on the original Kenner Red Rex. So the goal with the airbrush is just to trace over them and tie them into the rest of the animal and hopefully not screw up. So after carefully tracing all of those patterns, I'm doing some much less precise airbrushing on the patterns from above, which seems somewhat counterintuitive to what we've been doing, but it's just going to make it look like the patterns become more defined as they go down the body of the animal, which is more natural animal-y. Anyways, now we're going to do some pavement airbrushing on the legs. On the Kenner Red Rex, the legs get pretty dark from the knee down. Okay, I've loaded some burnt umber into my airbrush now, and I'm going to do a couple of things with it. The first is I'm going to make the face tie in with the rest of the body. And the second is that I'm going to crop dust this whole damn thing with burnt umber. Just a light coat. And now we'll just do a little bit of dry brushing on the eyebrows, and then we'll move on to the feet. The first bit of dry brushing I'm doing on the feet is going to be with burnt umber, and that's going to tone down those black scoots quite a bit, and bring out some additional texture. And then we'll move on to the arms. Before going back to the feet with Territorial Beige. And this coat is going to be much lighter, but it's also going to bring out that much more detail. Okay, let's paint some boogers now. I've mixed up some burnt umber with some metallic red and some black and then watered it down, and now we're just going to use that to fill up her nostrils. Fun fact, Tyrannosaurus Rex did not have access to Kleenex to wipe its nose with, and we want to reflect that in this model. When the T-Rex has snot running out of its nose, well, it's just going to have snot running out of its nose. Now that we're done picking dinosaur noses, we can move on to the eyeballs. And I'm doing the same thing with the Red Rex that I did with the Bull T-Rex, doing a highly darkened color shift purple for the base on the eyes, and then we'll put the green over that. But we're going to give that a chance to dry while we paint the claws. And because the Kenner Red Rex has black claws, this Red Rex will have black claws. Funny how that works. And yes, we paint the dew claws. Okay, the paint on the eye should now be dry, so we're going to do the green. So for the green on the eye, I've mixed a lot of bright yellow and gold in with the color shift green. And I think I've gotten this nice color that people are going to argue about is it green or is it yellow? Because I like to start shit like that online. Just kidding, it's an eyeball. Chill out, it's not that important. Okay, time for the teeth, and I have yellowed the crap out of some white paint. Here we go! Now that the green or yellow, I don't know, whatever, on the eyes has dried, we can go in and do the pupil, which is a nice little black dot. And now she's ready to throw a Land Rover. Well folks, that's the end of the video. Thanks for sticking around. If you enjoy my content, be sure to like and subscribe. If you'd like a chance to own whatever I made or painted in this video, be sure to check out my eBay and Etsy shops. And to see other projects that I've made, be sure to follow me on Instagram. I appreciate your support, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.